Hi folks, welcome to the Senior Moment, a weekly video series with tips and advice for older adults and the people who care about them. My name is Brooke Knight and I am a real estate agent with Realty One Group Clarity, serving the North Puget Sound region of Washington. I'm also what's called a seniors real estate specialist, which means I have specialized training and years of experience specifically focused on serving older adults. Last week's Senior Moment, we talked about some signs that it may be time for your parents or your older adult loved ones to move out of their home and into a more supported living environment. And so today we're going to talk about how you can have that conversation with your parents. If you can imagine, it is a very difficult conversation to have. It means a loss of independence for the folks who are moving oftentimes. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how you can have that conversation in a way that it is heard by the people you are talking to, and also so that you can achieve really what is your outcome, which is hopefully to make sure that your parents are doing the best that they can and really happy and thriving. And I think staying grounded in that outcome and being really clear of that is your intent and that's your goal, and having that conversation in the first place is really important and really helpful. So the first thing that I would recommend, number one, is to really have this conversation as early as possible. Like the Boy Scouts say, be prepared. We can anticipate as our parents are getting older that there will become a time where it is difficult for them to live independently. And so start those conversations before you need to. Start them before it is problematic. And generally it will go a lot easier. And I'm going to preface all of this by saying I'm talking today about really moving from your family home into some sort of senior living, but really these tips for how to have this conversation are relevant whether you're talking about moving, talking about maybe it's time to stop driving, other types of difficult conversations that you may need to have with an older adult that you love and care about. Second tip is to involve your siblings. So if you are talking about moving, helping your older adult parents move, it is not going to go well unless you involve your siblings. I've personally seen so much family conflict resulting from this type of situation. And so be proactive, have the conversations with your siblings first, make sure that you're all on the same page or generally rowing in the same direction, and then involve them in that conversation. The third thing, and I would say this is really the most important thing, is to approach the conversation from an empathetic and patient point of view. Remember, this is really hard for your parents. They are people who have had a long history and have done probably some really amazing things in their life. And this is just a blip in time that they happen to be in where they are struggling with being independent. But it doesn't diminish all of the things that they've done in the past. Your parents have had, some of them have had careers as attorneys or other really powerful, important positions. And so you can imagine being in a place where you used to have a lot of power and control, and now being in a place where someone is really telling you this is what you need to do and how challenging that can be. The other thing to keep in mind is that if you and I are fortunate enough to age into our 80s or 90s or beyond, it is likely someone is going to be having the same conversation with us. So keep that in mind. Approach it the way you would want someone to approach that conversation with you. And again, stay grounded in that. What is the goal for the conversation? You're having the conversation because you care about your parents in this case, or the older person that you're talking with, and you really want what's best for them. And just really staying grounded in that and reiterating that throughout the conversation, I think, is going to be really helpful. The other thing I would say as it relates to control is look for ways that your parents can maintain control of the situation. So like I said, you're going from a place where your parents at one point in life were really they were controlling everything you did, likely. And now they're in a place where this person that they may still see as their baby is coming to them and saying, hey, you need to do this. I really think this is important. And so that role reversal is really hard. So looking at how you can give them opportunities to control portions of this process and of the situation. So an example might be if you determine that they need to live in an assisted living facility, making sure that they have the opportunity to view all of the assisted living facilities that are within your budget, within their budget, and weigh in on what works best for them, what they like the best, where they would prefer to live. If their friend is living in a particular place, giving them the opportunity to move into that place to be close to their friend. So give over control where you can, so that they have the opportunity to still have some power and control in the situation, in a situation that otherwise often feels really powerless and out of control. Listen. Again, much like being empathetic and being patient, listening carefully is going to be really critical to making this a successful conversation, one where people can hear you. It is very unlikely that your parents have not thought about these same issues themselves, that they haven't recognized they're having a hard time at home, they're having a hard time taking care of all of their particular daily needs. And so ask them what ideas they have. What would they like to see? Just being open-minded and listening to them is really going to help that conversation go a lot better. And then finally, do your homework. So you can imagine, if you haven't, and you're having this conversation with your mom, and she says, well, what are the options out there? What are my options? And your response is, I don't know. Probably the conversation's not going to go very well, and you have therefore lost a lot of credibility in terms of the next steps. So do your homework in terms of what type of senior living facility do you think is going to be best for your parents right now, given where they are? What are the different options out there, so that you can kind of be informed and have a little bit of expertise as you enter into this conversation. So along those lines, in next week's episode, we are going to talk about what are the differences between some of those different senior living options that are available. And there is the whole gamut. So it could be a nursing home, it could be assisted living, it could be a senior apartment. There's a really wide variety, and we're going to break down a little bit more about what those different options are, what they mean, what some of the costs are. We could probably spend 3 weeks talking about that. So we will just kind of scrape the surface next week, and then we will go into some more detail in future episodes as well. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you found this information to be helpful, please like and share this video. You can find me at Good Night Homes on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. That's Good Night with a K, as in Brooke Knight, Realtor. And until next week, make every night a good night. Thanks so much.